I hope you're well. Welcome to another banana Q&A. This is, as promised, part 2 of my number 4. There's still a lot to go, so I'm not going to waste your time. Let's get started. Evelyn Munster, I hope I've said that right. It looks like an Irish name. What advice would you give someone who suffers from panic before you go and when you get there? So I did suffer from panic attacks for the first time in Sydney on my most recent trip. I'm going to be honest, I did not deal with them well. I freaked out, as you would. That's essentially what a panic attack is. This is hard because I do think panic attacks are triggered for different reasons, things that have happened in people's past and what they're doing currently. But I guess a piece of advice I would give to everyone to avoid panic attacks is to plan as much of your trip as you can to make yourself comfortable, because that eliminates quite a lot of panic. When you're out there, you've got less to stress about, less to think about in that respect. And also be sensible when you're out there. I think a big reason why my panic attacks came about was because I was drinking a lot of alcohol, which was not good for me. I was also having a lot of coffee, and I didn't realize at the time, but just that alone, the extent of caffeine that I was having a massive negative impact on my well-being. So I had to completely cut that out, and it made a massive difference. But again, that's just me. Not everyone's panic attacks are triggered in the same way. I would just say plan your trip, make sure you've done your research, and be sensible when you're out there. Fiona 986 has a few questions. Are you always so happy? I'm a very happy person. I'm happy a lot of the time, but no, I'm not always so happy. I think this is the problem with Instagram and YouTube, and I know a lot of people have talked about this, but you don't vlog when you're sad, you don't take pictures when you're sad for the most part, and so it makes people think that you are happy all the time. And yes, I am happy a lot of the time. I'm a very positive, optimistic person, but not all the time. Like I just said, I suffered from panic attacks in Sydney. It's just what you see of less. Do you think you will ever settle down and do a 9 to 5 with 4 weeks holiday a year? I don't think I will anymore. I used to think I would. Maybe, like, I would definitely go back to the 9 to 5 life if I was just saving up for another trip and temping and stuff. I'm absolutely not opposed to it, but I can't picture myself ever doing that as a long-term thing. I definitely just need to keep traveling, keep doing things. I don't think I can be that office desk worker for the rest of my life. Has traveling given you a new perspective on life and what you want out of it? Yeah, it has. I mentioned in my recent video that I filmed with Wanda Degazo, the 14 benefits of backpacking, which I'll link up here, that every time I come back from a new trip, it's almost like starting a new year, and I make new resolutions, I make new goals, because I've met so many people and I've been introduced to so many more opportunities and experiences that I didn't even know existed before. And so it just really opens your eyes to what else is out there, and it's not necessarily the country that you're in, but the other travelers you meet. Do you learn the local languages when you travel? I try to, I really do. I wasn't very good when I went to Southeast Asia and stuff, but when I went to Tanzania, I tried to make myself learn Swahili. So they actually say Hakuna Matata, like that's an actual thing they say, which is awesome. And I took it upon myself to attempt to learn as much of the language as I could before I went. And I'm not even kidding you, when I was out there in Tanzania, I could have a full-blown conversation with someone in the market. Like, it was ridiculous. I couldn't do it anymore. I completely forgot it, like, after the trip, but I got pretty good actually. And I also attempted to learn quite a lot of Spanish when I did Central America, and yeah, it's a really fun extra thing to do, to attempt to learn the languages of the places that you're in, and useful as well. Edward Malloy asks, after New Zealand, is there anywhere in the world you would like to live for an extended period of time, and why? I've always thought about moving to Canada. I think it looks absolutely beautiful, and I know you can get a working holiday visa there. I know it's difficult for British people to get a working holiday visa there though. Honestly, I haven't really looked massively into it yet, but I do think it's very competitive, but I would love to do a ski season out there or something. I think that would be awesome. And Fleur Hands asks, what editing tool do you use again? Was it FinalCut Pro? Yes, I do use FinalCut Pro. I used iMovie for years, and I recently made the switch because you could do so much more on it, and I'm really glad that I did. And for everyone out there, if you ever want to know any equipment I use or software or music that I use in my videos, it's always in the video description. Nora Marie Alex asks, how do you cope with the time between your trips? Do you have any tips for keeping inspired to work/save? My tips would be to do as much research as you can to the places that you want to go, because that is going to motivate you so much. Like, you know, create picture mood boards, create a bucket list for the places that you want to go on Pinterest, make a plan of your budget, even the stuff that sounds quite boring, like, it makes you so excited to go. But what I would also say is, whatever job you're doing to save up, work hard at it, be productive and impress the people around you, because it's easy to slump into the routine of I'm not going to work very hard, I'm just saving and then I'm going to leave. But that's not going to help you after your trip. You want to be able to have good references on your CV, you want to be able to have something great to come back to, and possibly opportunities to get even bigger from the work that you're already doing. So yeah, I would just say work really hard at the work you're doing, do lots of research for the trip you're about to go on, and the time should just sail on by. Turkey Twizzler asks, if you were to travel New Zealand, where would you recommend to start travelling from? Probably Auckland. It's the biggest city, so you've got all the amenities there to sort yourself out before your trip starts. It's also where most trips start from, so probably the easiest. Wanderlust Liam asks, do you ever plan to go to Iceland and when? I'd love to go to Iceland, of course I would. I think it's a very expensive country, so it's not at the top of my bucket list right now because I just don't think I'd be able to afford to go, but oh my goodness, yes, it looks beautiful. I would love to go. I actually had a layover in Iceland once and it was summertime, but we had to step off the plane and oh my god, it was freezing. Like, I was like, wow, like this is Iceland, right? Maddie asks, what's your top place to go on the South Island of New Zealand? It has to be Queenstown, doesn't it? Also, best things to do in Perth, the beaches. Mullaloo Beach I absolutely love. Kings Park right in the city is beautiful. Go down to Margaret River and do a wine tour, and the beaches there are absolutely insane. There's also a really cool place called Serpentine Falls. It's in the middle of nowhere, but you can go swimming and there's a waterfall and it's just really beautiful, and there's kangaroos bouncing around everywhere. It's really, really cool. Oh, and Rottnest Island. Do a day where you hire a bike and a snorkel and go around the whole island. That is the best thing to do around the Perth area. Also, any tips for solo traveling as a female? I've actually done a whole video on backpacking solo tips, so I'll just link that up there for you. Oh, and Lee Williams also asks, any places you recommend going other than Fremantle and the beaches? Yeah, exactly what I just said. So Serpentine Falls, Rottnest Island, going down to Margaret River, all awesome. Ashley Hogan, when is your website gonna be a thing? I'm sorry, Ashley. I know for ages I kept saying backpackingbananas.com coming soon, and I still own that domain. Like, technically I have a website, there's just nothing on it. Problem is with me, first of all, I'm a massive perfectionist. I know exactly what I want my website to look like, but I can't do it myself. I'd have to hire a website designer and they're expensive. It's just a big project which is going to take me a long time, which I just haven't had the time to do yet. The other problem with a website is that I can't write very well, linking in with me being a perfectionist. I would write something and I know I wouldn't be happy with it, and so it's on the list. I will eventually get it up and running, but it's just not at the top of my priorities now, because I just know what amount of effort it will be for me in particular versus what will probably get back from it. Sigourney Stanfield, Siggy! Hello, mate! Siggy and I met in Sydney last year when I was working at Base Hostel, and we ended up going to Bondi Beach together, and we just absolutely melted on this beach. It was so hot. Can I come to Poland /road trip /Socotra with you? Yes, you can. Jessica Burling asks, do you get lonely whilst traveling, and how do you deal with missing family /friends? Not really, if I'm honest. Sometimes when you're backpacking by yourself, you want to share your experiences with your friends and stuff, but for me personally, it's something that I get over pretty quickly. If you just keep yourself busy, keep making an effort to meet people, and keep reminding yourself of why you're on this trip, then I don't see why you should get super lonely. Maddie Bott asks, was just wondering how the whole process of hostels work. Interesting that you just asked this, because I'm going to be putting up a video very soon. It's one that I've already filmed with Molly. It's all about hostel etiquette, behaviours in hostels, what's acceptable, what's not, and we kind of just go through it start to finish for like a guide for complete beginners to hostels. So that'll be on the channel very soon, so stay tuned for that one. And this last one is a little sneaky comment that snuck in the comments of part 1 of the Q&A, and it's from My Life is a Beautiful Disaster AY. They ask, why is your name Backpacking Banana? Good question. I feel like I have answered this in the Q&A before, but it was like years ago. So the name came from the first time myself and my friends Grace and Shell, we went backpacking for the first time around the world, and we knew we wanted to start making some like travel videos, and so we thought, okay, we need a name, and it was literally as simple as the fact that Backpacking Bananas was like an alliteration, because we were like backpacking but bananas. Like, that was literally it. After we finished the trip, my friends were not bothered about keeping up the YouTube channel, but I really wanted to, and I just kept the name. I didn't change it. And that is it. I have answered all of your questions. I'm going to try and make these Q&As possibly like a monthly affair or maybe once every couple of months. What do you think? Is that about right? Make sure you're following me on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter and Snapchat for more content from me, and subscribe to this channel for new videos every Wednesday and Sunday, and I will see you then. Bye!